Finale presented by Geico. And a beautiful night here as the Broncos take the blue field here at Albertson Stadium. It's the 5th meeting all time between the visiting Washington State Cougars and the Boise State Broncos. Pac-12 matching up against the Mountain West. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones alongside Rod Gilmore, chopping it up. Quint Kesnick down in the field joining us in just a bit. Rod, this game, this matchup, really a defensive coordinator's nightmare when you look at the ability of the two quarterbacks and all the receivers they have at their service.
Yeah, we've got a couple of quarterbacks, I think, because they're in the Pacific Northwest, they've been tucked away under the radar. Cool hand Luke Falk, 4,500 yards passing last year, 38 TDs, opened with 4 TDs last weekend. Tall, rangy quarterback. He can deliver the football. On the other side, Brett Rippon. Yep, that name sounds familiar. His uncle, Mark Rippon, won a Super Bowl with the Washington Redskins back in the day. He's opened well last week with a couple touchdown passes and threw for more than 3,300 yards last season as he was the top quarterback in the Mountain West Conference as a true freshman.
Broncos coming off an impressive win last week against ULL. For more, let's go downstairs to Quint.
Both of these quarterbacks have favorite targets. For Washington State, it's all about Gabe Marks. 104 receptions last season, 60 went for first downs. He can run the vertical routes, he runs fades, bubble screens, slants. And meanwhile, for Boise State, Thomas Spurbeck is their most productive receiver. Big numbers last season, 88 catches. He's more of a slot guy, likes to find the soft spots of the zone. Boise Broncos go to him a lot on third down.
All right, Q. Washington State winning the toss, electing to receive. This is a very pivotal and critical home game for the Broncos, albeit early in the season. Tyler Rassa ready to kick off.
This place is kind of jumping a little bit.
Big night here as they celebrate the 30th anniversary of the blue turf. That's right, it's blue, folks. Don't adjust the color on your television set. Tavares Martin and Caleb Fossum back deep for the Cougars. And we are underway. Martin taking it out of the end zone, found a seam and then closes quickly at the 19-yard line, where it'll be first down and 10 for Washington State and their quarterback Luke Falk, who will sling it over and over again. Falk last week had 4 touchdown passes against 1 interception, was 41 of 51 in that close loss, that 45-42 loss against Eastern Washington. And the big storyline coming into the game, or at least one of them, Rod, is how they bounce back.
Yeah, that was a surprising loss for Washington State. Many people expected them to be undefeated coming in here. A lot of talk about Washington State being a sleeper in the Pac-12 North.
Wicks in the backfield. An early look at this air raid offense of the Cougars. And Falk completes it to Wicks out of the backfield. It's a sweet move and makes it up to the 25-yard line, where he's brought down by Tyler Horton, a gain of 5 on the play. Falk is a 6'4 junior out of Logan, Utah. A guy that, in the words of his own coach last week, played okay, but wasn't as sharp as he could have been. Second and 5. Gets rid of it quickly again. This time it's dropped by Wicks, and it sets up a 3rd and 5.
You know, partner, Falk is an interesting story. He's a guy that early on in high school, people pegged him as a superstar. Ended up being a walk-on at Washington State. Had an offer from Florida State. It got pulled after folks thought there was a little too much drama surrounding him.
Wow. Yeah, he talked about it happening when he was at the Seminoles camp and described the very long flight home from Tallahassee back to Utah.
He had transferred to Oaks Christian Hollywood High School down in Southern California, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
Yeah, very transient part of the early part of his career. Here he is on 3rd and 5. Showing good poise, completes the pass, and let's check out the mark. Martin makes the catch. It's a gain of 6 and a first down. Rod, he showed some good moxie.
Yeah, you know, he's not a guy that buys a lot of time in terms of scrambling, moving around the pocket, but he did there just enough to allow Martin to pick up that first down. He's much more of a pocket guy.
Got 3 backs in now, Wicks, Morrow, and James Williams. One of the few times you'll see them run the ball into the boundary this time. That's Williams, and a nice gain of about 6, close to 7 yards.
You know, I felt like Washington State kind of gave up on the rushing attack a little bit last week. I wouldn't be surprised if they ran it more this week. They have a little bit of an advantage size-wise up front, as you see Mike Leach there in his 5th season at Washington State.
This team went 9-4 last year, won their bowl game against the Miami Hurricanes. But for the 2nd consecutive season, they stumble out of the gate losing to an FCS team. And a first down run by Gerard Wicks. Out to the 45, picked up 7 yards. Rod, we hear a lot about this air raid, but successful running.
Yeah, you know, and that size differential. Look at 55 inside. He's an undersized nose tackle, about 260 pounds, and they allowed him to use his quickness to get up inside and just trapped him and came around the edge to pick up the first down.
From the 45. Falk with plenty of time. Almost looked like it was tipped at the line of scrimmage. And John Thompson makes the catch for a gain of 7. Thompson, the 5'11" senior. 2nd and 3 coming up. Cougars will go at a pretty good tempo. Morrow the only back. 2-by-2 receiver formation. And another first down to the 37 of Boise State. Martin with his 2nd reception of the ball game. And Rod, they're in a pretty good rhythm right now.
Well, the other thing they're doing is they're spreading the ball around. Falk has not looked at Marks one time yet on this drive.
13-yard gain. Luke Falk picking up where he left off last week, completing 41 of 51. Underneath and open at the 38-yard line. Nice move by Lewis, still open. Got a couple of nice blocks and down to the 26-yard line.
So if you're wondering about Marks, he's getting double short coverage, and there's a safety sitting behind him. You see right now Boise State has opened this game with the notion that anybody but Marks.
Well, he's got some other guys that are capable.
Yeah, and Falk has been using those guys.
2nd and 2. Pass complete again. This time it's Morrow. And Morrow picks up the first down. A gain of 3 on the play. Ben Weaver making the catch.
You mentioned Weaver. One of the things you and I talked about this week was whether the Boise State linebackers could match up against the running backs and the slot receivers of Washington State. I mean, Washington State believes they have an advantage there. And interestingly, Boise State believes those linebackers can cover those guys. Something's got to give on that.
We'll see. Weaver, one of those captains. Handoff is to Robert Lewis. This time he's whacked.
Well, there he is.
Little or no gain. Tanner Vallejo limits that game to 1, and we expect to see him a lot, Rod.
He is their best defensive player. He's incredibly active. He will get into the box. He will rush the quarterback, and they will drop him into coverage.
Penn Valley, California. Vallejo, one of the leaders on defense. 2nd and 9. This is the 11th play of the Cougar drive. Play clock down to 3. Incomplete, batted down at the line of scrimmage by David Moa. And it'll be 3rd and long.
He's actually coming back and throwing into double coverage as he tries to find Johnson over there. Not the decision he wanted, but how about 55 Moa getting his big paw up there knocking it down. Now you've got a big third down.
The guy you said was undersized a little bit ago showed some bounce.
Yeah,
huh?
well, he's shown some quickness and some hops.
3rd and 9. Falk picked off at the 17. Tyler Horton. And he's got a group of blockers running on the blue to score the touchdown.
To the left of your screen, Horton is the sophomore out of Fresno High School. And it looks like that ball was a bit off target from Falk. Either that or you had Lewis, 15, not find it, but that looked like the only person who saw that ball was Horton.
And 85 yards, partner, the other way.
You know, Horton hears a who.
Oh, I read that book.
Yeah, I did too. What? Who, what? That ball's for me? Nice.
Horton, the sophomore. He came close, perilously close, to stepping out of bounds here, Rod. Have one more look at it right there.
There was one official who was running right beside him who had great eyes. You see him at the top of the screen. Look at the official just to the right of the screen. He's got eyes on his feet. He sees the jump. He's right on top of that.
Yeah, with
he is right on top of that. Yeah, that's a good call. Good call.
Great balance by Horton, who took it 85 yards in the other way. And boy, for Washington State, an offensive cataclysm resulting in 6 points the other way.
Well, you have a drive that's going really, really well, and you haven't even used your star receiver marks. And then you get a pick six going back the other way on a throw. I don't know if that was on Falk or on Johnson, but it looked like the only person who saw the ball was Horton. That was clearly not on target.
That was the Broncos' first interception of the season. And they take a 7-0 lead with the extra point. Looking to snap their 2-game home losing streak. Tyler Horton at work. Protecting the blue on the defensive end. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back, everyone, to Albertson Stadium. Mark Jones alongside Rod Gilmore, Quinn Kessenich down on the field. And a moment ago, Tyler Horton, right there, number 14, with a pick, took it the other way for the touchdown. 85 yards, and well, the Broncos off to a good start here. Their offense haven't even gotten on the field. Let's take one more look at what happened on the play, Rod.
Yep.
What was the variable?
Well, watch the football here. Watch where Falk throws this. It looks a little high and a little bit out in front, but what you can't tell is whether, in fact, Lewis was expecting it, looking for it, because it looked like he was a little slow coming out of his break. Maybe he didn't think he was the receiver, but nevertheless, that ball was off target, or he wasn't expecting it.
Who's that more on if you're pointing fingers?
Well, you got to be careful with the football, particularly on a third down. I mean, quarterback, you got to make sure.
We'll see how Falk recovers from that interception. Threw a pick last week against 4 touchdowns and then that loss against Eastern Washington. Not much pass rush, and Falk going to get out of the pocket and throw it out of bounds. It'll be 2nd and 10. There's a team last week that lost 45-42 against Eastern Washington. For the second consecutive year, the Cougars stumble out of the gate and lose to an FCS team. And Mike Leach's squad was thought to be one of the favorites in the Pac-12 North.
Well, keep in mind, last year when they did this, they reeled off a 9-win season. So they know how to bounce back from this stuff. Question is, if they stumble tonight, what will that do to them? There's a long way to go in this ballgame.
Trips right formation, 3 receivers out to the top of your screen. Snap a little bit high, and for the first time in the ballgame, Gabe Marks touches the football. He's their most potent wide receiver. Vallejo, their best tackler on defense, makes the stop.
Well, and this is the matchup we talked about, because you've got a guy who's 225 pounds. If you're a wide receiver, you got to believe he can't cover you. that you can beat him in short, quick areas and get yardage. But Boise State believes he will do the job out there, and you're going to see him trying to handle guys like Marks and others.
3rd and 5. Got to get to the 35 for the first down. Falk. Pass complete. And lunging for the first down is Gerard Wicks. Picks up 6 on the play on a nice run after the catch. Wicks, a pretty good receiver out of the backfield, had 5 catches last week. Now Morrow comes in for him. The Cougars led the FBS in total offense the last 2 years in a row. Falk, another completion. Marks puts his hat down and takes it north-south out to the 40-yard line, and he runs right at Jonathan Moxey to pick up 4.
Well, I'm sure that Washington State has figured out by now that Marks is being doubled. So when you get yourself in this situation now and you got to pick up a first down, is he your decoy? Do you start looking away again?
And Marks comes out of the ball game. Falk hits his receiver. Great open field tackle on the play.
There's that
by
man.
Tanner Vallejo.
There's that man.
Wraps up Johnson. He does run well.
Oh, he is a rocket. When that ball is in the air, he just comes flying. Watch the left side of your screen, and the blur that's in blue, that's Vallejo. It's a good tackle.
You were talking last week about those hybrid defenders, Rod, that run well. A real essential key in college football now.
We're
right?
seeing more teams find guys like that who can stay on the field when you have substitutions.
A loss of 5. 3rd and long. Falk down the seam, incomplete. Intended for Gabe Marks. Broken up nicely by Raymond Ford. 4th down coming up, and they'll punt. Zach Sharmy coming in.
We're going to rugby-style kick from Mr. Sweet here.
Such is the trend in college football now. With Australian punters. Butler on the punt return, brought down immediately at the 11-yard line. 1st and 10 after the 41-yard punt. Get our first look at Brett Rippon at quarterback.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Look at the Capitol here in Boise, Idaho on a beautiful night. Broncos out to a 7-0 lead, and we get our first look at Brett Rippon, sophomore quarterback. It was all Mountain West Conference last year. Completed 64% of his passes, 20 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. As Rod mentioned in the open, the nephew of former Super Bowl champion Mark Rippon. 1st and 10 from the 12 for the Broncos. McNichols between the tackles right up the middle, out of the 16.
You know, Rippon was offered at his uncle's alma mater, Washington State, and he said he had the choice of playing in his uncle's shadow or playing in the shadow of Kellen Moore here at Boise State. I guess he chose both because he's not getting rid of his uncle's shadow.
Yeah, those are both pretty good ones. 4-yard gain on 1st down. Rippon hands it off to McNichols again. This time he's going to lose a couple of yards. Pippins with a nice stop. Marcellus Pippins up off his corner spot. Back to Rippon. You know, you mentioned the lineage. His mom actually attended Wazoo as well.
His mom is going to get to see him throw it here on 3rd down. He has very good footwork. He gets rid of the ball very quickly. Very adept at the 3-step and that intermediate throw.
Well, Mark said he wanted his nephew to throw for 400 yards but lose the ball game. There's his first completion out to the 25 and enough for the first down to his reliable number 82, Spurbeck.
The thing that stands out most to me about Rippon is his ability to process information. he recognizes the defense very quickly. Therefore, it helps him get rid of the ball quicker. He knew right away when he got into his second step that Sperbeck was the guy to go to on the right side.
Pays off in a first down out to the 26. Little jailbreak screen here to Chaz Anderson. Comes back against the grain and picks up a nice block along the way out to the 40. Put it on the ground, but he was down first. A 14-yard gain. And another first down. Let's take a look at our
ruling on the field
for success.
The runner was down prior to
Brought to
fumbling
you by
the ball.
Northwestern
First
Mutual.
down, Boise.
Boise State, McNichols, outstanding all-purpose running back. They need him to be involved. Rippon, the one thing he's got to do better, deep ball against a defense that gave up a lot. And Washington State, they gave up 9 big plays for more than 285 yards last week. They got to clean that up. Washington State offensively, we've yet to see them really get the ball to Marks too much.
Prior to fumbling the football. Previous play is under further review.
It appeared that he was down at first look. That was the call on the field. Let's take one more here.
Yeah, elbow down, and then ball comes out.
Nice run after the catch by Anderson.
Yeah, remember, you have to have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call.
Right.
So you need to see the ball moving before he touches the ground.
After review,
there's no movement.
The ruling on the field is confirmed.
First and 10 for the Broncos from the 40. Boise State has won 21 consecutive non-conference home games. But their last 2 games here at home were both L's. Trying to turn that around. And Ryan Harsin, their head coach, talked about protecting the blue going into the game to his team. A flag down up front. Robert Barber may have moved a little early.
Offside. Defense, number 92. Contact in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
You talk about playing on the turf. Remember how it just seemed that if you had to come up here and play, it was a loss. You just couldn't beat the Broncos up here on this blue turf. And Harsin told us yesterday they've lost 2 in a row. They got to get back to protecting this blue turf.
One of the winningest programs in college football, the winningest team in college football going back to 2000. Little play action wide open. Sperbeck again for a first down. Inside the 40 to the 38, a 17-yard gain. Shows you why he tied the school record with 88 catches a season ago.
Keep your eye on the linebackers. This play action fake does a good job of holding them in, sucking them in. Rippon knows it and throws it right behind him. That's processing information quickly.
3-receiver formation. Nichols with the handoff down to the 34-yard line. Gains 4 on the play. Jeremy McNichols, the 5'9" junior out of Long Beach, California, raised a bit of eyebrows collectively here in Boise, Idaho, when he wasn't selected on the All Mountain West Conference team at the tailback spot.
Wow. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I mean,
1,700 yards last year.
51 catches.
Gets another touch here. And they're inside field goal range, and he picks up another first down. Well, in fairness to the guys that did make the all-conference team, Rod, Pumphrey and Hill out of Wyoming, pretty talented tailbacks.
But he's not a competitor if he doesn't believe he is the best running back in the Mountain West. And when you do what he did last season, he has every right to believe he is the best running back in the conference.
You played the sport. Guys get disrespected that easy?
Absolutely. Every day. Every day in practice you get dissed.
Sensitive. Gain of 6 on the play.
Ego is a thing, buddy. You wouldn't know.
True. Yeah.
No ego over there.
They say talent without ego isn't talent. Nichols has a bunch, and he's got another opportunity here to make something of it. Picks up 2. Pallure makes the stop on the play. This Washington State defense, Rod, gashed last week gave up over 600 yards, 606 against Eastern Washington. But they do have Shalom Luani back in the lineup.
You see them looking at the wristbands for plays that are called. They couldn't get that right last week. They couldn't play the same defense. Guys were reading the wrong things.
Under duress here, Rippon completes another one to Spurbeck down to the 14-yard line, and another first down for the Broncos. Thompson makes the stop, but a gain of 12.
You mentioned this Washington State defense. In particular, the secondary got carved up last week. In particular, the safety position. You know, those matchups were not good. Boise State is well aware of it. Expect them to attack the middle of the field, to attack the safeties. But you see that 18, Luani, is back after missing last week. That should help.
3 tight ends in here for the Broncos. McNichols inside the 10 down to the 8 rod. Why do we get so many formations out of the Broncos, and what does it do? What's the effect?
Well, they like to shift and move their tight ends. What they do is they'll have 2 or 3, and as they move and shift them, they give an extra gap to a side that you have to cover. They bring extra guys to run. They outnumber you. It becomes a problem.
Little Wildcat formation here. McNichols takes the direct snap. Got a seam. Touchdown!
Still confusion on the Washington State side. I don't think they recognize that was a Wildcat right away, and they didn't recognize that it was just a power run. You pull the left side guard, get him out in front.
Is
his knee down? Does he get across?
They might take another look at this. They will, and he might have been down before he crossed the goal line.
Yeah, that's very close. Knee down from that angle. It doesn't look to me like the ball has broken the plane.
Here's a better angle of it.
Right knee down. There's the ball. Looks like it's a little short.
Great effort, though, by McNichols to lunge into the end zone, regardless. But either way, the Cougar defense really on its heels, a little shell-shocked right now.
It's hard to play good defense when all 11 guys aren't on the same page and aren't playing the same defense.
The rolling on the field was a touchdown. The previous play is now under further review.
We'll take another look at this, and it was interesting. Mike Leach said that he couldn't believe that they lost their composure defensively last week, although a little bit of a disclaimer in the fact that 13 guys played for the first time. But this defense was an improved defense last year, Rob.
I got to tell you, first game.
You look like a disbeliever right now.
My first game, wide eyes.
What was it like? What do you remember from it?
I remember my coach saying to me on the sideline, "Why are you lining up 10, 11 yards away from the receiver? You've never done that in practice." I say, "Oh, am I? Am I that far back?"
Yeah.
It just takes you a while to get comfortable and to feel and see everything on the field. That first game can be challenging.
Right. 13 guys out of those bright lights for the first time last week for Washington State. And Mike Leach's team under a little bit of heat right here. Rippon on this drive, 4 for 4 for 56 yards passing.
Usually, Jonesy, when the review takes this long, they're looking at where to spot something, spot the ball, and they're looking at the clock. It's not that they can't figure out, you know, whether it's a touchdown or not. They're trying to get all the other aspects of it squared away.
Here's the call.
After review, the runner's right knee was down prior to the ball breaking the plane of the goal line. It'll be 1st and goal at the half-yard line.
It's the right call.
Sure looked that way on the review. Caught the Cougars defense napping a little bit out of the Wildcat formation.
What do you think? 4 tight ends down here? 3?
We've got a whole bunch of formations in that Brian Harsin playbook on this, the 12th play of the drive. Rippon under center, McNichols in the backfield. Rippon tries to keep it himself. Didn't get much push up front. Mataafa making the stop on the play.
So what the defensive line does is simply get down low and try and reestablish the line of scrimmage a yard towards the field, just to create a pileup. And it's hard for a quarterback to sneak in over that. I think McNichols will be your guy again down here.
4 tight ends. McNichols gets the call and scores. Touchdown Broncos. There's a flag down, though, on the near side of the field.
Offside. Defense, number 33, lined up in the neutral zone. That penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Yeah, well, there you go. Right there. There's no question about that. You are offsides, and Washington State still having some of the defensive issues like they had last week.
Well, after the previous couple plays, that touchdown ineluctable, inevitable, seemingly for Boise State, as they take a 13-0 lead on Jeremy McNichols' 3rd rushing touchdown this season, and the 24th of his career. A 13-play, 88-yard drive. The Broncos looking good right now.
Power. Broncos kicking him right now.
Broncos off to a good start. They lead 14-0 here at Albertson Stadium. Sellout crowd of almost 40,000 on hand. Broncos trying to improve to 2-0, and the Cougars right now on the ropes, albeit early in this ball game. Martin on the return and stopped right at the 20-yard line. Boy, Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator, Quint, really getting at his troops, huh?
You know, he last week he was upstairs in the box, and he said the defense lost their composure. There's poor communication on the sideline, so he switched that up. He's downstairs today. He wasn't really getting in their grill that much. He was really concerned about early in that drive. You remember there's a play where they over-pursued, and Boise brought the ball back to the near side of the field. Kind of bailed out that drive for the Broncos. And then in the red zone, he had some concerns about their communication and their reaction to the Wildcat as well.
Yep, yeah, it was clear they were not prepared for that Wildcat down there.
See if Luke Falk can get some points on the board in this drive. Down 14-0. And sacked for the first time in the ball game. Back at the 15-yard line by David Moa.
The undersized one.
Yes.
265 pounds. Gives up about 40 pounds to most linemen. Uses his quickness to just blow right by the guard there and get in there and make that sack. This is a critical drive for Washington State.
How so? How important? How
you got no evidence your defense can stop them yet. They just gave up 88 yards, a punch in the mouth with 9 runs. You need to bring something to keep your team in the ball game here. Critical drive.
Empty formation, 5 receivers. Falk finds one at the 25. A nice catch on the play by Isaiah Johnson-Mack. Picks up 9.
Think about what's going on. Your defense is kind of on skates right now. Your offense hasn't gotten into a rhythm. Marks has only caught a couple of short passes just to get him a touch. He's not been a real factor yet. You have to find your rhythm, and you have to get Marks involved.
Just keep an eye on him in this play. 3rd and about 6 to go. Open over the middle of first down and then some out to the 40-yard line. It's Martin, their fastest receiver, in the middle of the field, and he moves the chains on the gain of 18.
Great protection for Falk that time.
Luke Falk took over from Connor Holliday midway through the 2014 season. It's been his job ever since. James Williams on the run got back to the line of scrimmage. With 29 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Washington State looking for their first win of the season, coming off a loss last week against Eastern Washington. No gain on the play. Another empty formation, 5 receivers out. Little jailbreak screen to Martin again. Makes a nice move and still alive. Down to the 39-yard line in a good way. A positive note to end the first quarter for the Cougars on that 19-yard pickup. Martin out of Belle Glade, Florida. Things started off pretty well. And they lead by a couple of touchdowns. The pick 6 got them out of the gate quickly. Back after this. Folks, kick off your Week 1 NFL Sunday with us on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's NFL Insider Sunday edition with all the injury news, fantasy updates, breaking stories. Then at 11, the new Sunday NFL Countdown crew of Chris Berman, Trent Dilfer, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, and Randy Moss take you right up to kickoff. Both shows stream live on the app as well as watch ESPN. Looking forward to seeing Randy Moss in the studio. A pass underneath. Speaking of good receivers, Gabe Marks makes the grab right near field goal range for the Cougars. I'll tell you what, I can't watch enough of that that ESPN 30 for 30 they had on Randy Moss and some of his collegiate exploits. Second down coming up. Underneath and wide open. Again, it's Robert Lewis, who had 4 catches last week for 67 yards. Gets 7 there, Ron.
Carter, you notice that Falk takes a long look down the field. They want to get deep, but Boise State really plays a very conservative defense. They try to take away deep throws, and Falk is having to check everything down.
Out of the backfield again. This is Williams. Turn the corner. There's a flag down on the field and another flag coming late. Kyle Sweet was in the vicinity of the hold. 8-yard gain, but it looks like this is going to come back.
Holding. Offense. Number 17. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
And it was against Kyle Sweet. Mike Leach, the 5th-year head coach at Washington State, said the pulse of the team this week seemed to be very determined and very focused. He's expecting a very positive bounce back here tonight.
Those safeties back there, very deep, and those corners are playing quarters coverage most of the time, also dropping deep, forcing the short throws.
1st and 20. Boy, it looked like Morrow blew a tire, lost a shoe, and was brought down by Darren Lee. Tough to run with one shoe, right? No gain on the play. How's that happen, Rod? Come on, man. Huh? Come on. Rod, talk to me.
I like to say for me, sometimes I was just so fast my shoes couldn't stay on.
I set you up for that one. Second and 20. Falk down the middle, dangerous pass, and incomplete at the 15-yard line. A couple of guys there, including River Craycraft and Robert Lewis, and it sets up a 3rd and 20.
The air raid offense likes to open up the middle of the field, try to be horizontal about things, but as you know, it's dangerous. The middle of the field, it's dark, full of terror.
And filled with terror. 15 to 21 so far. Third and long, deep. Incomplete. 4th down. All right, thanks a lot, Mike. Welcome here to Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho. The Broncos leading the Washington State Cougars 14-0. I'm Mark Jones alongside Rod Gilmore. Quint Kesenick down in the field as Boise State looks for its 22nd consecutive home win in non-conference play and trying to snap a 2-game losing streak here on the blue turf, now in its 30th season. The game started off with a pick six as Washington State's quarterback Luke Falk threw an interception to Tyler Horton, and now a punt. Zach Sharmy, he hangs it inside the 20 down to the 12-yard line as Butler makes the fair catch. Well, there's a look at the quarterback, Brett Rippon. All Mountain West Conference in 2015, 20 touchdowns against 8 interceptions, completed 64% of his passes.
And he's been great tonight. You think of what they've done. That 85-yard interception return by Horton you mentioned. McNichols has been good, rushed for a touchdown already. You see Falk's numbers, 108 yards in that pick six. But this man, Rippon, 4 for 4 passing and has done a marvelous job using the rushing attack. The rushing attack has been way better for Boise State than for Washington State.
1st and 10 from the 12. Little play fake. Pass complete underneath to the tight end, Dainez, and back to Brett Rippon. If the name sounds familiar, the surname in particular, he's the nephew of Super Bowl champ Mark Rippon of Washington, former Cougar. Actually, we talked about it a little bit earlier. If you're just joining us, Rippon's first scholarship offer was from Washington State. Devin Demas in the ball game on 2nd and 5. Demas into the boundary and nowhere to go. Nice tackle on the play by Mataafa. Well, football a family affair for the Rippon family. There's a look at Mom, who also attended Washington State, but she's got a Broncos t-shirt on, Ron.
Well, there's Uncle Mark, who's not here tonight, but basically said, I'm a Cougar for life. I want the Cougs to win tonight, and I hope that Brett does well. What about blood, man? Isn't blood thicker than water or your school loyalty?
It all depends. It all depends. Pass complete and a first down to Chaz Anderson. And a great run after the catch out to the 34-yard line. A 17-yard gain, and Rippon living up to the family name.
Well, Rippon is so accurate and has such a quick release. Mom says, yeah, she knows. I know. I've watched him since he was in high school when he was breaking Kellen Moore's records back in high school over there in Eastern Washington. This is old stuff for her.
First and 10. Having success with that play action, takes a deep shot. And incomplete, intended for Cedric Wilson, who had a 42-yard touchdown catch in the first quarter last week against ULL. He was working against Broughton.
I love Rippon's footwork.
What is it about his footwork that impresses
he
you?
seems to be very quick, and at times he looks like a middle infielder, the way he can jump and quickly get rid of a ball like he's turning a double play. Doesn't have to be in perfect position to get himself balanced. He gets there and gets rid of the football.
That was his first miss. He was a perfect 6 for 6. That one incomplete, intended for his roommate McNichols. And Robert Barber, the nose tackle, was right there to break up the play. It'll be 3rd and 10.
Key down for Washington State defensively.
How big is this drive for them defensively, Rob?
Oh, huge. They could get the ball in reasonable field position, but for their confidence defensively, it's huge.
They're getting lined up kind of late here. Still plenty of time on the play clock. Rippon steps up, delivers, and broken up nicely at the 37-yard line, and the Cougar defense gets off the field. Darian Moulton out of Temecula, California, working against Cedric Wilson to break up that pass. And it's 4th down.
Jonesy, that's huge. Huge for the confidence, huge to make a play, to feel like you've kind of weathered the storm of the first quarter and you've made a stop. Now you got a chance to get your offense going and get a little momentum.
Weren't many stops last week for the Cougars defensively. They gave up 606 total yards to Eastern Washington in that season opening loss. Sean Whale now to punt. for the Broncos. Cougars brought a little bit of heat. A fair catch called by Fossum back at the 24-yard line. It'll be first down and 10 after that 43-yard punt. Cougars still looking for some points when we come back to Albertson Stadium. Welcome back, everyone, to Boise, Idaho. Luke Falk, Washington State's quarterback, back on the field. 41-51 last week in their loss. Had 4 touchdowns against 1 interception. Out of Logan, Utah. Started his high school career in Utah. Transferred to California in Oaks Christian. Only was there for a couple of months. Didn't like the vibe so much in Southern California. Ended up transferring back to Utah. That pass complete, and a long pass, dangerous, to Martin. And meanwhile, not a highly recruited guy, Rod.
Well, he walked on at Washington State. He had an offer at Florida State that got pulled. Part of that whole transferring to Oaks Christian, you know, kind of a Hollywood school with Montana, Gretzky, Will Smith's kid. Right. And it kind of rubbed some people the wrong way.
I would imagine tuition was kind of high there, too. Pass complete to Williams on a nice screen, and he's got a group of blockers in front of him down into Boise State territory at the 35. And I mean, he got a good block there from Cody O'Connell, the starting left guard, in a 27-yard gain.
Great play call. Great situation for that screen pass.
One of their biggest plays of the night. Wicks back in the ball game. Wicks on the handoff and a nice cutback. One of the rare runs in this air raid offense, an offense that has led the FBS in total offense the last couple of years. Let's go down to Quint.
Mark, the sense you get down here from this Washington State sideline, and we talked about it a lot last year with tempo teams, success or failure on first down. When they have success, they just get it rolling. They keep the same personnel on the field. They get ahead of the chains. When they have a negative play on first down, all of a sudden they have to change personnel packages, and it throws them out of their rhythm.
A great point, Quint. Johnson in motion. Out of the backfield. It's complete to Johnson, Mac.
Well, Q's point is right on the money, because that's exactly what's happened so far tonight. Boise State has taken away the deep ball and forced a lot of dump down passes and made the tackle on first down, so it's 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. And then Washington State's had to change what they've been trying to do. Here's a 3rd and 5. They'd like to get deep again. They like to run vertical routes, but they haven't been able to do that tonight.
Morrow in the backfield. Got to get to the 25 for a first down. Falk going to try and do it himself. Takes out his do-it-yourself kit, and it works down to the 24, and he moves the chains with a 6-yard scamper.
As much as we've seen the Washington State offense over the last few years, they're a bit out of rhythm. Falk doesn't scramble, doesn't run for yardage. They get Marks the ball. Marks has only had a couple of short touches. They haven't found their flow, their rhythm yet.
Marks, the first-team all-conference wide receiver last year. Set a school record for touchdown catches. Underneath, on cue, stopped up right around the line of scrimmage. Marks had 10 catches last week for 108 yards. No gain on that one.
Now there's Gabe Marks, all-conference receiver.
Looks like he's limping a little bit coming off the field. Not a good sign.
Yeah, well, he was doing that last week in that Eastern Washington loss. He had more than 100 catches last season, 104 grabs to be exact.
Coaching staff will tell you he might be the hardest working player on the team, and his teammates follow his lead. Empty formation. Falk comes underneath, complete. Not much running room for Kyle Sweet. Picks up about 4 on the play. It'll be 3rd and 6.
And Boise State's fine with those little crossing routes and the dump passes to the backs. They want nothing over their heads, nothing behind them. They feel they can rally to the football and make tackles, and that guy, Vallejo, has made most of those tackles.
Drag route's a big part of this air raid offense,
Absolutely.
Right?
And they've kept everything to 5 yards, dragging across, and then coming up and making the tackles. the plan has worked very well for Boise State so far.
Trips to the top of your screen. 3 receivers out to the left of Luke Falk. Has all day to decide and capitalizes down to the 17-yard line, but short of the first down. Picks up 4.
So you're Mike Leach. You're a bit of a pirate.
Okay.
You're a bit of a gambler.
I think I know where you're going.
Field goal, not in your book, is it? It is not the thing you want. He recognizes how critical this drive is and that they need to get in the end zone for their psyche more than anything.
4th and 3. And a flag thrown. It almost looked like Riley Sorensen flinched, the center for the Cougars. Like Sorensen might have moved with that snap. And that might change the complexion a little bit if this goes against the Cougars. Here's the call.
4th and 8 is more difficult.
False start. Off. Number 58. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And now comes the punt, the field goal.
Well, you got a better chance of getting some points out of this now. 4th and 8. Not good. I mean, this team, Boise State, has come up and tackled you and kept you short of the first down. 4th and 8, you can't do it here. Take the points now. 4th and 3, I understood why he gambled. Can't gamble here at 4th and 8.
Coach Leach, a guy that really embraces that frontier spirit. Bit of a gambler. Powell going to try this field goal from 39 yards out. Was 0 for 1 last week. Missed his only attempt. And this one is partially blocked. David Moa might have gotten a hand up, but somebody got a piece of it up front. One more look. Using those big hands to swat that opportunity.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's a college football tradition. And PlayStation View, live TV. No annual contract and no surprise fees.
Kicker.
Beautiful day down here in Boise, Idaho. And under the lights here at Albertson Stadium. A sellout crowd of about 38,000 on hand. Will Adams making the block a moment ago on that field goal attempt.
First
down and 10 now,
Third block for the field goal kicker.
1st and 10 for Brett Rippon. His own 22 hands it off to his roommate McNichols as we go back to Chris in the studio. Yeah, that'll be a very compelling game, Chris. Lou Saban not quite happy with the way his team played today as Rippon slides into the 30-yard line. But they're getting some good quarterbacking at Alabama from that freshman, man. He's one of the young guys we've talked about in our meetings.
Who are we kidding? Hurts is the guy there at quarterback. And Alabama is the team right now. And the way they've looked the first couple of weeks, hard to put anybody but Alabama number 1.
What Francois has been pretty hot down at Florida State too. You talk about youngsters. Here's Rippon, a sophomore. Little check down, pass complete to Danens, brought down by Darian Moulton. No gain on the play. DeAndre Francois.
Well, there you see the freshman quarterback, Shane Buechele. I guess I have a soft spot for Shane because he played college baseball with his dad, Steve Buechele. But
got that Stanford thing going on.
Yeah, but Francois, I got to tell you, man, he's looked fantastic the first couple of weeks. We're seeing more freshman quarterbacks who run this kind of an offense, this spread system in high school, simply transition that to the college game, and a lot of them show up early, graduate high school in January, and they get a spring practice. Not surprised at the success.
4th and 2 on the punt. To the 20-yard line, that's Fossum. Made a nice move and picked up 8 yards on the return after the 49-yard punt. Falk still looking at that goose egg on the board. Welcome back, everyone, to Boise, Idaho. The Broncos leading 14-0. Looking for the 22nd consecutive non-conference home win. Rod, what are you telling us on this
Well,
play?
points are hard to come by for Washington State. You know, they're facing a lot of deep coverage, quarters coverage, 4 deep guys. They like to throw deep. They like vertical routes, but they can't get deep. And the only thing available has been the short down crossing or the short checkoff pass to the running back.
And back to the play. Pass complete to Isaiah Johnson, brought down by Vallejo as we go down to Q.
Yeah, this Boise defense so fundamentally sound. Ashley Ambrose, their DB's coach, Gabe Franklin coaches the safeties. They were hemming and hawing a little before the game, understanding the challenge, but everyone on the same page right now. Pursuit angle's great, and I love the tackling in space.
Yeah, we talk about improvements.
2nd and 2, flag down, and Morrow is brought down right around the first down marker. Hey, Rod, the chemistry of that defense, very good in light of the fact there's been some turnover with the coaching staff there, right?
Yeah, you know, they've got a new D coordinator. Marcel Yates left for Arizona during the offseason.
It's going to be a hold against Washington State.
Holding. Offense. Number 76. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And just to follow up Q's point about the tackling, you know, week 1, you expect there to be issues with tackling, and there's usually a big improvement in week 2 because you get used to the pace of the game. And we're seeing excellent tackling in the open field by Boise State as they come up to deal with the running backs and the receivers catching those short passes.
2nd and 11. Falk broken up at the 40-yard line just as the ball arrived. Cameron Hartsfield hit River Craycraft and knocked it loose. One more look here.
Remember, both players have a right to go for the football. It's not contact. The issue is, does the contact impede? Does he keep the receiver from making a play on the ball? You can go make that play. You can put your arm on the receiver, but he didn't turn him. He didn't restrict his arms. That's a good, solid play.
Third and long. Falk incomplete.
You know, Falk to me is a little off. That's like the 3rd or 4th high ball we've seen, including the pick 6.
And a very disconsolate, disgusted, disconcerted looking Gabe Marks going to the bench.
He's not getting touches. You know, they can't get him deep. They can't get him to the middle of the field. There's some frustration there. Now, Falk, Mike Leach says, is the calmest quarterback he's ever had, and he just goes with the flow. Well, he's got to be patient now.
Kyle Sweet into punt. And the Broncos are going to have good starting field position right around their own 40-yard line after the 34-yard punt, and the defense pitching a shutout. 9 with nothing going so far. Hey folks, Monday Night Football is back with a double dip to cap off week 1, 6:55 Eastern. Steelers taking on Washington. Then at 10:15, it's our West Coast matchup. 49ers hosting the Rams. Coverage begin with Monday Night Countdown at 5 Eastern on ESPN, streaming live as well. And speaking of Washington, Mark Rippon with his nephew doing a job here tonight at QB for the Broncos.
He won that Super Bowl MVP, was 18 of 33 for almost 300 yards back in 1992.
That pass incomplete. Let's go back to Chris in the studio.
I got you.
old pal, Steve Buechele, his son, Shane.
Picked off. Luani. Shalom Luani fumbles it. And it looked like he got it right back. Shalom Luani, who last week missed the ball game against Eastern Washington for unspecified team issues, back this week and making his presence felt.
Well, he's added some spark to this defense. He's sitting in the middle of your screen, gets locked up man-to-man. Watch him jump on coverage with Daynens right there, and he just jumps in front and grabs it. That's a heck of a play in man coverage, and the kind of break that Washington State needed. That defense, much maligned from last week, came out, and the first two drives did not play well. But since then, since Grinch, their defensive coordinator, talked to them, they've played much better.
See if the offense, Rod, can capitalize on the turnover by Rippon. 27-yard return after the pick. They're going to run it here. Morrow squares those shoulders and picks up about 3. Under about 3 minutes to go now in the first half. And boy, big surprise. Who would have thought that the Cougars offense wouldn't score any points so far?
Yeah, 45 last week. One of the top scoring offenses in the Pac-12 last season.
Falk eludes the rush and finds Craycraft over the middle. And River Craycraft sets up a third and about 2 to go.
Falk was trying so hard to get that ball to Marks, but Marks was eaten up on the outside by Jonathan Moxey, number 2. There just was nothing there. I mean, Marks is getting so much attention. He's being doubled, short and long, or sometimes inside, outside. He's frustrated. I don't blame him. He wants to get the football, but there's no way to get it to him right now.
They're trying to make somebody else beat them. 3rd and 2. Got to think this is 4-down territory for him right now. Falk gets rid of it quickly, complete. And a first down to River Craycraft. Brought down inside the 15, picked up 4, and they moved the chains with 1:47 to go. The Cougars with all 3 timeouts remaining.
Now this is where you worry about the air raid offense. It's not a short red zone run the football offense. More than likely they'll have to throw it to get it in here. They don't use a tight end. They don't use a fullback.
3-by-1 receiver formation. Johnson, the lone receiver, to the bottom of the field, and they hand it off to Morrow. Tackled at about the 10-yard line. 2nd and 6 coming up.
Lee and Vallejo in on that tackle. Lee, remember, got the start because Joe Martinaro is hurt, normally the starter. And
Marks, meanwhile, Rod, back into the ball game. Split to the bottom of your screen. Falk looks his way, then comes back over the middle. Nobody open. And throws it out of bounds in the direction of Gabe Marks. And 3rd and 6 coming up now.
That's your air raid issue down here. You don't really have much of a run threat. So the defense realizes that it's got to play pass first, run second. And this Boise State defense is, very capable of handling a one-back set where you outnumber them with blockers. You can take the running game away. So now you're down here. You're just running 4 guys into a short area. Not a lot of room. I loved playing defense down here in the end zone because you didn't have to cover as much room. You could just be quick and react and really kind of bunch the receivers together.
So my partner's saying advantage defense down here. Little shovel pass complete to Morrow. Touchdown. I guess that's how you try and solve the puzzle.
There you go.
Got a nice block from Eduardo Middleton at right guard. And the Cougars finally on the board with less than a minute to go in the first half.
Points off of turnovers. That shovel pass saved the day, got Washington State, after almost the entire first half of getting nothing done. It's a one-possession game now.
Fifth touchdown pass of the season for Luke Falk. The extra point is good. And for Morrow, that's his first down catch of the year. 42 seconds to go. Little sleight of hand on that pass. Back after this. Shalom Luani set up that touchdown with his interception a few moments ago, and then Morrow with the touchdown catch, capping a 6-play, 26-yard drive, and the Cougars, with less than a minute to go, finally get on the board. Here's Cedric Wilson. Took the first hit, but makes it out to the 28-yard line. 35 seconds to go. It's been a quiet first half for Wilson. What a touchdown early in the game last week against ULL. And we'll see how Brett Rippon responds after throwing that interception on the last series, his second pick of the season.
Well, they get the ball to start the second half. I sort of expect that they will run out this clock here unless on the first play they get something big. I think otherwise Brian Harsin will take this lead into halftime and get the ball to start the second half.
Rippon complete to the wide side of the field, and I guess, partner, that would qualify as getting quote-unquote something as Spurbeck makes the catch.
Well, you got something. You're out beyond the 45 now, and you have 3 timeouts, so now you've got a chance to play with it.
19-yard gain. Out to the 46. Little pressure coming on Rippon, taking a bit of a shot, and caught at the 18! Wow! Cedric the Entertainer with the grab.
He is 6'3", maybe a little bit more, the tallest receiver Boise State has. His dad was a Super Bowl winning receiver with the Steelers, also played with the 49ers, and told him, you got to make plays if you want to be on the field.
He sure did, Rod.
That's a play.
A 39-yard gain and a timeout called by the Broncos. And folks, they're in business in 2 quick plays.
30-second timeout.
Cedric Wilson out of Coffeyville Community College in Kansas actually went to school in JUCO as a quarterback, ended up coming out one of the top JUCO receivers in the nation.
Just goes up there and grabs it. Pippins is on the coverage, but Pippins gives away quite a disadvantage. 5'10", 5'9" against 6'3" plus.
And Rippon's mom really happy about that pass by her son.
And Quint and I were on the field before the game looking at Wilson. Wilson is a very long receiver, not just tall, very long arms. And you could see that on that play.
Member of my all-hotel lobby team. Looks good walking through the hotel lobby pregame. 1st and 10 from the 14. Rippon with time. And incomplete, stopping the clock with 11 seconds to go. What do you think? 2 more plays? Just 1 more and then kick?
Probably. Got a couple timeouts.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, you have 3 points in your back pocket. So Rippon needs to be careful with the football. He has to know he's got 6 or he's throwing it away.
Wilson lined up to the bottom of your screen here again. Talked about his height, 6'3".
It's a good matchup for the Broncos.
Comes back the other way into the end zone. Caught, incomplete though. Spurbeck couldn't get his feet down. And 6 seconds to go. Let's take another look. This was close.
Yeah, he grabs it, but does he get a foot down? No. How about that back judge? That back judge right there on the money, watching that right foot. Saw it on the white.
Yeah, he was eyeballing that.
Heck of a throw, heck of a catch. Just ran out of room.
6 seconds to go. 3rd and 10.
How confident are you? How confident are you?
Brian Harsin calls a timeout.
Second charge timeout. Boise State. Full minute timeout.
Kickoff week. Week 1. NFL Sunday on ESPN at 10. NFL Insider Sunday edition. News on injuries, fantasy updates, breaking stories. Then 11 o'clock. Sunday NFL Countdown. Chris Berman, Trent Dilfer, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, Randy Moss taking you right up to kickoff. Both of them streaming on the ESPN app and watch ESPN as well. 6 seconds, Rod. What do you do? You take a quick shot?
It's got to be a quick, hard throw. You can't throw one. You can't throw a fade here with a bunch of air under the ball. If you don't have a quick, hard throw, you got to take the field goal right now.
They do not have their kicker on the field, and Whale motioning over to the sideline. They might have a personnel issue.
But they could survive that if they run out of time with this, because a 5-yard penalty wouldn't kill them here for a field goal, and they have another timeout as well.
Looks like they're taking another timeout here. I'm not sure that they actually, Washington State calls the timeout, but let's go down to Quint for more on the situation. Quint?
Well, typical kicker in his own little la-la land. Tyler Rasa at the far right side of the bench, just kind of hanging out. And Coach Harsin brings the offense and the holder and some of the specialists together. 6 seconds. Yeah, we'll kick the field goal. Well, we're all good, right? Where's Tyler? I mean, that cannot inspire confidence.
Are you kidding?
I've always thought they should.
What's the kid thinking? There's 6 seconds to go before halftime.
I've always thought they should keep kickers in a little bullpen, and then pick up the phone and call them to come into the game.
Well, had they done that, he wouldn't have answered.
Well, Harsin talked about the need for him to be a little bit more consistent.
Or just have your head in the game.
Yeah, that too. Watching.
Wow.
It'll be a 31-yard attempt. He's 1 for 2 on the season. And now the Cougars going to try and put him on ice a little bit more.
You know what would be classic? He nails the kick, and the coaches try to give him a little grief. He's like,
Second
what?
charge timeout.
What?
Washington State.
I don't need to watch the game to make a field goal.
Yeah, just kick.
I just kick.
Well, Rasa 1 for 2 on the season. And Harsin there, you saw him on the screen, says that he feels that Rasa works best when he's under a little bit of pressure.
I think there might be a little bit of pressure when you're not paying attention on the sideline, and you got 6 seconds left in the first half.
In his career, Rod, he's 10 for 10 between 30 and 39 yards. This one from 31. Off the left hash. And he knocks it through.
No problem.
As Tyler Rasa would tell his coach, hey, coach, I'm not always there when you call, but I'm always on time. With 1 second to go in the first half, a rather lower scoring game than most of us predicted, partner.
Well, considering what these two offenses have done historically and what they did last week, you had to believe that there'd be a lot of points scored, but it's been a real battle, defensive battle. First couple of drives, it looked like Boise State was going to run away with this thing, and then Washington State settled down defensively after Alex Grinch, their D coordinator, on the sideline, as Quint mentioned, with the defense, calmed them down, and they've played much better since then.
Yeah, we were predicting here on the little Pac-12 After Dark, we'd get an abundance of scoring. Got 24 points here, and 26 in the game between Oregon and Virginia. So let me do some quick. That's 50 points.
Figured it'd be double that by now.
Yeah, at least. 5 years of college, that was pretty quick, wasn't it? Right? 50.
I thought you were using your calculator on your phone.
I didn't get that with my upgrade, Rod. 1 second to go, and I guess the Cougars, considering everything, going to be happy to take a 17-7 and 10-point deficit into the locker room. 17-7 at the break. Boise State trying to go 2-0 on the season. Right now we head to the studio, Chris and the gang, for our BMW halftime report. Guys? And welcome back, everyone, under the lights at Albertson Stadium. ESPN College Football Finale, presented by Geico. Boise State leading Washington State. Matchup between the Mountain West and the Pac-12. And Boise State leading by 10. Brian Harsin, the head coach, Rod Gilmore, said when we visited with him yesterday. There's a great chance for our team to get a big win against a power conference team, and so far they've been up to the challenge, especially on offense.
Yeah, I think defensively this has been an outstanding game, but not what we expected. We thought we'd see a lot more scoring by now, and Boise State scoring is really kind of surprisingly been a little bit of defense and a little bit of offense. I mean, Tyler Horton gets a pick 6, and then Jerry McNichol takes in a run, so that's the 14 points. And we really have only had 2 offensive touchdowns in this ball game in the first half. A bit of a surprise so far.
Yeah, one of the storylines coming into the ball game on the other side of the field was the Cougar defense was just eviscerated last week, losing to Eastern Washington, giving up over 600 yards. What do you make of the way they've played? We're going to see them on the field here early in the second half.
They were shaky when the game started, but I think they settled down pretty quickly after that second drive, after the defensive coordinator, Alex Grinch, talked to them on the sideline. We saw that they had been making mistakes, not communicating, looking at their wristbands with confusion. All that seemed to disappear after that second drive. They've played lights out. They got a big play from Shalom Luani with a pick, so they're in a good spot right now.
This one going to come out to the 25-yard line, and Q spoke with Mike Leach at halftime.
Yeah, I walked from the locker room to the sideline with Coach Leach and talked about things other than Cuba or Spanish colonial architecture. He was kind of bemoaning the fact, he says, yeah, I kind of wish they'd be playing more man-to-man defense. So they've been sitting back in the zone. The one thing that stood out to me, though, he said Luke Falk has to especially be more decisive in the second half. I don't think he was particularly happy with the way his quarterback played.
Yeah, Q, I think he'd like on those underneath throws for Falk just to get rid of it and let the guy have a chance to make a move.
1st and 10. Brett Rippon in a quarterback still. He's taken every snap so far except for one Wildcat play, which went to this guy, McNichols, who's brought down for a loss of about 2 on the play by Shalom Luani, who we mentioned a moment ago. Rod, we talked about Alex Grinch, the D coordinator for the Cougars, coming down to the field. You played on defense. How much difference does it make as a defender when you actually see him down in the field?
Well, I think the younger you are, the less you've played, the more that's helpful for you. You know, your juniors and seniors who've played, they don't care if the coordinator's up or down. You can be fine with that.
2nd and 12. Rippon got one-on-one coverage. Wilson flagged down and taken away by Moulton. And an interception if it stands. There's a flag on the play. There's a lot of bumping and grinding going on down on the sideline.
Remember, contact is not necessarily pass interference.
Pass interference, defense, number 3, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Unless you impede the receiver's ability to make a catch. Now, you don't look around for the ball. It looks like you trapped one of the arms of the receiver. Look at that. There's the left hand holding down a little bit the right hand. That's probably what the official saw. But, you know, if you can turn your head when you're making that play, you can probably get away with trapping that arm down a little bit.
Rod, I know you're a former DB, but he was holding Wilson like a grudge.
You can hold if you hold down low and you don't restrict where they can see it. Trust me.
He was holding him like a grudge on that one.
You can find a way.
1st and 10. Little play action. Going right back downtown. Spurbeck. Boy, that one well defended by Moulton and no flag. So he's up to the challenge that time.
So Moulton's doing a good job of catching up. The thing you have to make play now, getting the ball knocked out is great. When you catch up, you can't catch up a double move. When you catch up, now find the ball. Don't just stick your hand up. Turn your head and find the ball. That's a pretty good play, but turn your head and find the ball.
2nd and 10. Daynens, tight end to the right side of the formation. Rippon fires and nobody home. It's going to be 3rd down and long coming up. They keep going to that side of the field.
You know, I just have this sense that this defense with Luani out there is a much more settled, mature defense. He's their defensive MVP. They clearly missed him last week. He's playing solidly tonight. They just seem more confident now.
Wilson split to the bottom of the screen, working against Pippins. Rippon fires, and incomplete at the 45, intended for Anderson. 4th down coming up, and they'll have to punt.
They continue to work on Moulton. 3 straight plays, 3 straight passes at Moulton. He was up to the task.
And 4th down coming up. Sean Whale coming into punt. Caleb Fossum is standing at his own 19-yard line. Just underway here in the 3rd quarter. Washington State trailing by 10, looking for their first win of the season, trying to bounce back after losing against Eastern Washington last week, 45-42. And on the run, it's Fossum trying to make a play, and does, but there's a flag down at the 39-yard line. And seemingly invariably, they turn out to be a block in the back. A 38-yard punt, 16 on the return. Tristan Brock was in the vicinity of the penalty.
You get a low line drive punt, one that hangs up there less than 3.5 seconds. You can return that thing. You got a chance to do something, as we saw.
There is no foul for an illegal block in the back. The action was deemed to be legal.
Well, all right. We're going to keep it at the 40-yard line then, in good starting field position for the Cougar offense. Luke Falk was 41 of 51 last week, but it was a rather uneven first half for him, Rod.
Well, they wanted to be more decisive. He was also off a bit at times. You see Horton's pick six on a ball that was a little high, overthrown. Ball a little short behind a receiver. There's another one that's overthrown. So a little bit more decisive, a little bit more accurate on those mid-range throws.
Completes this one. Wide side of the field and a flag down at the 42. Tavares Martin Jr. on the reception. Back to Falk. He threw 35 passes in the first half, only 4 for more than 15 yards.
Well, 10 different receivers in that first half. The problem is Gabe Marks only caught 4.
Holding. Offense, number 15. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
That's going to go against Robert Lewis, trying to block. 10 different guys caught passes. So
yeah, but, you know, offense is about getting the ball to your playmakers and letting them make plays. And a guy like Marks, who caught 104 balls last year, 10 last week, he's got to get the ball. Hasn't had many opportunities tonight.
Out of the backfield, complete. This is Gerard Wicks, but 5 catches, picks up 5 on that. So you're trying to tell me that? Go ahead.
Does Vallejo ever slow down? Does he ever take a play off? He's just flying from sideline to sideline, making tackles against receivers and running backs out in space.
Fun to watch. At 6'1", 227. Coach is telling us he's pretty quick, maybe a 4'6" guy. The catch made by Martin. And Martin stopped up a little bit short of the first down at the 48-yard line. Sets up a 3rd and short coming up. Morrow back into the ball game, along with Kyle Sweet. Let's keep an eye on Gabe Marks. Not in the play this time, though. On 3rd and 2, they're going to run it. And more than enough for the first down. Jamal Morrow, who was maybe the best of the backs last week, picks up 8.
Great vision. He saw the hole that he was supposed to hit was to the right. He saw flashes of blue, cut it back to the left behind the center, enough to pick up the first down.
And Rod, Gabe Marks still not in the ball game, sitting out the 2nd consecutive play. 1st and 10, Washington State on Boise State's side of the field. Little screen complete to Morrow and chopped down. No gain on the play at the 44. Ben Weaver and David Moa making the stop.
Now here comes Marks back on the field. You know, he was limping a bit last week near the end of that game, and we've seen him limp a bit tonight, but he's got great stamina, tends to go all game long. It's not a lot of touches, and he's being doubled an awful lot.
Wicks the lone back. 3 receivers to the top of your screen, and now 1 in motion. Marks sits down over the middle of the field and makes the catch inside the 40, Rob.
That is a staple play of the air raid offense. It's a mesh play where you have 2 receivers on the opposite side running crossing routes at each other, and they adjust against the zone and stop and find the spot. But you'll see them run that. They've already run it half a dozen times tonight.
3rd and 5. On this, their opening drive of the 3rd quarter. Falk with time, and now sacked back at the 46.
Can't hold it that long.
Wow, that's a big one. They were on the fringes of field goal range. Lee was there to make the stop.
Yeah, you can't hold it that long. Now, part of the reason he's holding it, he wants 9. Look at 9. He's got a couple guys in his area. Scramble rules now, nowhere to go. But you have to get the ball out. You can't take a sack there.
Boy, if body language tells a story, there's a little bit of a first chapter in a long novel right now.
Well, he hasn't been taken out of a game like this. I mean, he caught 104 balls last year.
Sharmy with the punt. A fair catch called at the 13-yard line by Butler. He's on a slow boil, folks. Back after this. And welcome back, everyone, to Boise, Idaho, as we take a look at tonight's plans for success, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, for Boise State offensively, McNichols had to have a big game. He's been held in check but has a touchdown. Rippon has tried the deep ball, has missed 3 or 4 but connected on 1. The Washington State defense, a much better job tonight than last week on big plays. And Gabe Marks, man, 18 yards on 5 catches. That is not what they expected.
Second possession of the 3rd quarter. McNichols busting loose a little bit down outside beyond the 30 to the 33. And there's one of the rare bursts we've seen tonight from McNichols, who picked up 21, his longest run of the night.
This offense likes to use 2, 3 tight ends, create an extra gap on a side, and then they outnumber you at the point of attack and can run the ball.
Will Adams comes in and lines up at tight end out of the backfield. McNichols, an improved receiver, took a big hit at the 42-yard line. And gets right back up. McNichols last year had 26 rushing touchdowns. That was 2nd best in FBS. 5-yard gain on the play. 2nd down coming up. Spurbeck, top receiver from a year ago, split to the bottom of your screen. McNichols gets around the edge. Got a good block on the edge from Chaz Wilson, number 6, and picks up another Bronco first down worth 11 yards. Well, this is what it looks like when a couple of roommates are on the same page, right?
Yeah, you get a couple tight ends in, you get an extra gap, and then when you have a linebacker go inside, you bounce it to the outside. Worked pretty well.
Demas now in, and flag thrown. McNichols had 3 touchdowns last week against ULL. 2 rushing, 1 receiving.
Guy had 26 last year.
Yeah. Big workhorse for the Broncos. We talked about they might have wanted to get him 15 to 20 receptions.
Offside. Defense, number 31. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Rod, we talked last sequence about Grinch, their DC coordinator, on the field. Where was your coordinator when you played? Upstairs or downstairs?
Mostly upstairs, yeah.
You like it that way?
Yeah, once I was a junior, yeah. Kind of had an idea what I was doing.
Play action, Rippon. Taking a shot, trying to pop the top. Touchdown! Spurbeck. A 47-yard touchdown pass to Thomas Spurbeck.
All that running, look in the middle of your screen, you see 18 Luani. He bites a little bit on that play action, and he's late getting back to the middle, which is exactly where Spurbeck is. Spurbeck runs that post from the left side of the field. The play action created that entire situation.
Second touchdown catch of the season, 13th of his career. He's got some wheels, folks. Don't sleep. Spurbeck with an education and acceleration right here, Rod.
Yeah, splits the safeties. Not any help. Too late. Spurbeck, top receiver, puts Boise State up. 24-17.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Verizon. Join a better network because better matters.
Downtown Boise, Idaho, and the mascot Bronco doing a lot of push-ups. 24 points on the board now against 7 for the Cougars. Find themselves trailing by 17, looking for their first win of the season, and Rippon with a dime drop a moment ago to Spurbeck for the touchdown. And one of the prevailing storylines of the night has been the non-impactful performance of Gabe Marks.
He's one of the best receivers in the country. Had 104 catches last year, but he's been blanketed tonight. Sometimes it's been double coverage, it's been aggressive man coverage, short or inside and out, and there just hasn't been an opportunity to get the ball to him very often, and those throws to him have been short throws. We're talking about a guy who had almost 1,200 yards last season.
Got the best Twitter handle on the field tonight. You can find them at Throw It Up to 9. Throw it up to 9. Gotta love that confidence. Little receiver screen to the other side of the field. That's Martin. Well, folks, tonight after Virginia and Oregon finish up on ESPN Sports Center at night, Bucci Man and John Anderson will have all the highlights from the U.S. Open Women's Final, Major League Baseball, college football, NFL news, and everything else from the world of sports. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Another receiver screen complete, this time to Johnson Mack. Pulled down about 2 yards short of the first down run.
So Jonesy, Q told us at halftime that Mike Leach said, hey, more decisive out of the quarterback. So their answer has been the quick screen, the bubble screen, and those things to get the ball out right now, to give the receivers a chance to make a move and make a guy miss, because Falk was holding it a bit too long in the first half.
Third and short. They run it. Morrow's got the first down and then some. Tripped up at about the 43-yard line, a 9-yard pickup.
Weaver doesn't make that tackle. You might have had Morrow go for it then. That was a shoestring tackle.
Boise State with Andy Avalos, their defensive coordinator. 3 backs of the ball game: Wicks, Morrow, and Williams. Up in Pullman, those 3 known as Earth, Wind, and Fire to some of the locals. And this is Earth, and he's brought down to earth quickly. Morrow.
So that would have been the worst Earth, Wind, and Fire song ever.
They didn't have any. They were all hits, man.
Well, I mean, when one doesn't work, and that didn't work, so.
Get Away was one of my favorite Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, and he couldn't get away on that one.
He didn't get away that time.
No. Do my best Maurice White impersonation. 2nd and 13. Complete over the middle to Craycraft. Out to the 47.
This defense is testing the patience of Washington State. Nothing deep, nothing down the field. Falk has to take everything short, a check down. Boise State is content. They come up and tackle, but you can just feel the frustration by the Washington State offense with not being able to throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, even though Falk has connected on his last 9. 3rd and 6, down by 17. Over the middle into the seam and caught at the 42. River Craycraft in traffic makes the grab.
Big catch.
Big time. Out of Rancho Santa Margarita, California. Picks up the first down on the 11-yard gain and a few yards out of field goal range right now for Eric Powell. Pass complete once again to Martin. Now inside field goal range, but Mike Leach doesn't think field goal that often.
No, but they've established a bit of a rhythm here, getting the ball out quickly, the screen passes. Not a lot of thinking by Falk there, just catch it, throw it, let a guy make a move.
Falk a little indecisive and now lets it fly and way out of bounds. Not even close. The closest receiver was Robert Lewis. We'll talk to Mike Leach about his expectations for this game in the season. He says he doesn't see this game as a must-win game. He just wants them to play well overall, maybe lowering the bar a little bit after last week's disappointment against Eastern Washington.
Right now, you may want to run it inside or go back to that shovel pass to pick them up a first down. They've done those things well. Those two plays have worked particularly well for them tonight.
On 3rd and 2. Complete, but hit immediately. Nowhere to go for Gerard Wixt. Gabe Perez there to make an immediate tackle. And it's 4th and short.
Decision time. Now see, I would play field position here and probably kick this and try to back them up and give them some adversity. You don't have a threat of running for it. I mean, if I'm Boise State, I'm thinking Washington State is thinking shovel pass or the same checkdowns that they've had before.
Well, if you know Mike Leach, he's the guy that always tries to hook the big fish.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this call right here.
4th and 5. Sweet in motion. Complete for the first down and then some by Wicks. So Mike Leach casts his bait and gets the play done.
Well, he was glad that Falk held the ball that time. He held it long enough to allow Wicks to get to the edge so he could pick up the first down. You see there's a player down on the field.
It's Cole Madison.
Like Madison, yeah.
Starting right tackle. And now able to get up with a 15-yard gain on the play. Madison limping on that right leg.
He's just in a bad spot and gets rolled up on. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Jabril Frazier, number 8, coming in from the opposite side.
DJ Salmonson is his backup. Number 75. Got a little bit of depth on that offensive line. They talked to us about playing as many as 8 guys up front. Under 4 minutes to go, 1st and 10, the Cougars. Marks coming underneath, and he gets the ball. He goes to work, puts his hat down to the 16-yard line. Picks up 6. That'll satiate Gabe Marks for a moment.
Yeah, but if he gets that to Marks a little bit sooner, Marks has a chance to turn up the field. Now watch how far Marks comes and watch him hold this ball. He already has him. He waits a bit long, so by the time he gets this ball, he's at the numbers. But if you throw that a little bit sooner, he's at the hash mark. He's got a chance to get up the field.
Some of the indecision that Coach talked about?
Absolutely.
2nd and 3. Fires way too high. over the head of Martin, and he took a hit. That was Sam McCaskill, number 94, that just drilled Luke Falk.
Most experienced defensive lineman, McCaskill, with an inside move, gets free completely on the new right tackle over there, Salmonson. He just blew right by him inside.
3rd and 3. 13th play of this Washington State drive.
Jonesy, I still like that shovel pass. They haven't come back to it.
They run it underneath Morrow, and boy, that's going to be close. Don't think that he got it. 4th down, you got to think that he's going to go for it here. A gain of 2 on the play. Morrow stopped up a little bit short.
You think he has to go for it? I mean, if you take 3 here, if you don't have it, you take 3. It's a 2-possession game. If you miss this, your game might be over. Always want to extend the game. Keep yourself in the game. You miss this, it's over.
Falk kept it himself, put it on the ground. He might have been stopped first, and if he was stopped first, he was short. Not much happening over the left side of that offensive line here, Rod.
Extend the game. Keep the option available. You kick a field goal.
Prior to losing possession of the ball. Boise's ball, 1st down.
You kick a field goal, it's a 2-possession game. You come out and play. You go for it, you miss it. You're down 3 possessions. You've lost momentum. You get no points out of a tough drive where you made a 4th down. You have to get points.
Yeah, they were well within Eric Powell's field goal range, but in spite of that, Boise State with the ball coming back the other way, up 17. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these at games all season long, where Taco Bell will give students a chance to join their school student section at the college football play. The Broncos with the ball, 1st and 10. After that stop on 4th down. Nichols with a nice burst between the tackles. It's about 6. Luani and Dotson making the tackle on the play. McNichols and Rippon are roommates, and a real testament to Rippon's work ethic. He'll often, when he's sitting around watching TV, call his roommate out and say, hey, Jeremy, come look at this play and break this down with me. While McNichols is trying to play video games. Come on, man, give me a break, right?
False start. Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Meanwhile, the story not so jovial on the Cougar side of the ledger.
That's a fantastic combination that has been frustrated tonight. Boise State defensive coordinator Andy Avalos has made both of these young men very frustrated. You know, think of basketball, dunks and whatnot. They haven't been able to run around and make plays like that.
Pass complete out of the backfield. McNichols made a nice move. Got out to the 17-yard line. Gain of 3 on the play. Talked about it in the first half. Jeremy McNichols ran for almost 1,800 yards last year from line of scrimmage, and didn't make the All-Mountain West Conference preseason team. Put a bit of motivational fuel for him and his teammates. 3rd and 6. Rippon under heat. That one off the mark. He was looking at Spurbeck, but Equale with some good pressure there on the quarterback.
Watch him step into this. He is not afraid of the pressure, aware of what's coming, except for the big bear hug from Daniel Equale.
Well, the Cougars are going to get decent field position after this punt. Sean Whale standing at his own 3-yard line. 4th down, under 2 minutes to go here in the third quarter. A high spiral all the way back to the 34. Fossum with a decent return out to the 47. So 49-yard punt. They're in good business. Well, folks, Monday Night Football is back with a double dip for you. Week 1, 6:55 Eastern. Steelers taking on Washington. Then 10:15. Our West Coast matchup has the 49ers hosting the LA Rams. That's right, Los Angeles has NFL, folks. Coverage begins Monday Night Countdown at 5 Eastern. And there's what the LA Coliseum is looking like these days.
Oh, the excitement for the Rams return, although they will be in San Francisco Monday night. They can have a big party for them soon after that when they come back for a home game. Surprised Jared Goff is not activated, third quarterback, after being the first pick.
Meanwhile, speaking of quarterbacks, Falk is 13 of 15 here in the third quarter, but no points to show for it. Let's go down to Quinn.
During that last change of possession, Mike Leach went back to the Washington State bench and brought the entire offense over, and basically didn't lose his temper, but he basically held everyone accountable. And he pointed to the line, 4th down. You know, you can't punch him in the mouth. He's been over Falk for his indecisiveness, some of the receiving issues, basically putting it on each and every member of this offense.
Falk, Quinn taking a shot here and makes a play. Stopped up at the 1-yard line to Martin. Well, his coach will be happy about that.
Well, I think talk about being accountable, as Q just mentioned. Martin basically said, I'm accountable, throw it up to me, and he just goes and makes a play. He just puts himself in position to out-jump Tyler Horton for the ball.
Should that be a touchdown, Rod? It looked like he was never down. He landed on top of the defender, Tyler Horton.
Yeah, if he's on top of him, he should be into the end zone.
Ruling on the field was a completed pass. The previous play is now under further review.
They may find out that this is actually a touchdown.
Well, you're looking for any body part down in the field of play. He falls down on top of the receiver, so he's not down technically, rolls into the end zone. That's a touchdown.
Wow.
Now, personally, we've talked about this over the years.
Right.
From a safety standpoint, I'm not a fan of your not being down when you're on top of someone, because that would say, Mr. Other Defender, come in and hit the guy.
You're still live then, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't want that. We don't want that sort of thing, but that rule has never been looked at or talked about extensively. So you have plays like this. So what do you do if you're a defensive guy? You can't just come touch the guy.
Right.
You got to get him to the ground.
Like here, if you,
right there.
If that other defender tries to come in and nail him, then.
So if he's not down and you're coming over, you got to get in there and knock him down.
That's an interesting nuance in the rule. Yeah, they may overrule this.
Let's see. There's his left foot coming down, but there's not a knee down. There's not an elbow down. His behind is not down. He's on top of the receiver. I don't have him down. I don't have him down. But again, I would call that a touchdown under the rules as they are now.
Right.
But again, I'm not a fan of a guy being on top of someone and still being live. I think that's a dangerous situation.
Can you bring that up at our college football seminar next year?
I brought it up before at the officials meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, something ought to be done about that, but no one has really addressed it yet. It's going to take someone getting pummeled and being flagged for 15, and you're like, the guy's live.
Yeah.
After review, the receiver was on top of a player at the 1-yard line, rolled into the end zone, was never down by rule. Touchdown.
Well, there you go. Tavares Martin credited with the touchdown. They overturned the call on the field, Rob.
So let me ask you this. Again, I agree, touchdown. But if you're coaching the defensive backs and you see Moxie coming in there, what do you tell him to do? You can't touch the guy.
Right. If
you got to make a tackle.
Right. Yeah, if you hit him, you're
flagged.
And then, yeah.
That was James coming in late. I'm sorry, not Moxie.
Extra point good, and 10-point ball game. After being stopped on 4th down on the previous drive, this was the key play. Falk to Martin, and Sometimes when you're down, you're not really down. Coach knew it. Well, kick off week 1 in the NFL on ESPN. 10 a.m. Insider Sunday, then 11 Sunday NFL Countdown with our cast, both streaming live on ESPN's app and watch ESPN. Well, we got a ball game, 10-point advantage for the Broncos with less than a minute to go. Boise State has lost its last 2 home games at the end of last year. And the battle cry coming into this one was protect the blue. Celebrating 30 years of the blue turf here at Albertson Stadium.
Well, remember they had all that success under Chris Peterson. Brian Harsin, who's a close friend of Chris Peterson, took over for him. He's been here now his 3rd year, and he admits Chris Peterson cast a long shadow over this program. A lot of big wins, a lot of wins.
11 losses in the last 3 seasons. The winningest program in college football since 2000. 1st and 10. Blakely in motion. Rippon going to roll out and hit his roommate McNichols, who got a great block, a clean block, and gets into Washington State territory, at least close to it. 18-yard pickup.
That block you were talking about was right here as Spurbeck came back. If the would-be defender turns his back or so, it's not a block in the back.
They're going to spot it back at the 43, but still a first down. Rippon completes it to Spurbeck at the 44-yard line, brought down by Charleston White.
He says he does fingertip push-ups, Spurbeck. That's why his hands are so good. They're so strong. He has no trouble catching the football. Those fingertip push-ups for years. He says he doesn't have the biggest hands, but they're really, really strong.
Hung on to that one. Under 10 seconds to go. We'll get one more playoff. Rippon. Wilson caught. 1st and goal from the 7-yard line. With a second to go in the 3rd. Cedric Wilson for 36 yards.
Well, they have the power game, and then they spread you out, and they can throw it. Wilson last week had 6 catches for 103 yards and a touchdown in the 1st quarter.
That in front of 30 family members that made the trip to Lafayette, Louisiana to watch Cedric the Entertainer do his thing. They're up 10 as we play the final 15 after this. And welcome back, everyone, under the lights at Albertson Stadium to ESPN College Football Finale, presented by Geico. The Pac-12 and the Mountain West Conference after dark. In a game we projected to be a little bit more higher scoring than it actually has turned out to be so far. 38 points on the board with 15 minutes to go. And Brett Rippon in at quarterback still, the 6'2 sophomore, leading his team to a 1st and goal here. After that big catch by Cedric Wilson from the 7. Got an extra tight end in McNichols, tiptoeing into the end zone. Touchdown, Boise. Second touchdown tonight for Jeremy McNichols. Rod.
Yeah, take a look at the way they're able to run this inside. They're trying to get something going, but Pallure is the linebacker who can't get inside, gets caught up in the traffic.
Extra point good to lead up to 17 now as we just get started in the 4th quarter. 4 plays on that very short drive. Eclipsing 101 on the clock, 75 yards.
How quick was that?
buried.
A team that has been, using its power offense most of the night decides we're going to open it up. 4 plays, touchdown, takes them about a minute.
Rod, we talked about it before the game. You pointed out when we were watching film here a couple of days ago that a lot of window dressing in their offense, Boise State, but they really like to pound you up front.
Yeah, you watch them long enough, you understand they have an offense that believes in punching you in the mouth. They like to run power at you an awful lot, and then they like to get the ball out quickly to the outside. If they get one-on-one, they will throw the football. That combination makes them difficult to defend. And it hasn't been a lot different over the years. I mean, Kellen Moore did the same thing when he was a quarterback here.
I know those fans there that you just saw saying, thank you very much. This will come out to the 25-yard line for the Cougars. Luke Falk had a good third quarter, 14 of 16, 127 yards.
Listen, I know you're all about, Houston.
Okay.
And your quarterback there.
I know where you're going. Greg Ward, group of 5.
You're all about it. But there's a long way to go. And Houston may not make it to the college football playoff, which means the group of 5 guys will be fighting for a spot in a New Year's 6 bowl game. These 4 teams are kind of all in the mix. Now, Boise State and San Diego State will at some point likely knock each other off. One will win. But we're far, far away from conceding that the group of 5 rep on New Year's Day will be from Houston.
Yeah, let me check my calendar. I think it was September 11th now. That pass complete to number 15, Robert Lewis, out at the 40-yard line. He's going to come out of the ball game after the 16-yard gain. Yeah, long, winding, compelling, intriguing road to be played out in college football with the end in Tampa, Florida.
How about San Diego State up on Cal 38-21 in the third quarter? Don't sleep on the Aztecs.
Yeah, Pumphrey, one of the more talented running backs in the Mountain West Conference. We saw him in the conference championship game last year. This is James Williams, the freshman, stopped at about the 42-yard line, picked up a yard on the play.
We still have more than 14 minutes in this game. I think Washington State hurt itself by not taking points earlier, and that makes this an uphill climb. If Washington State loses this game, what then?
They're done?
Well, they haven't played a conference game, but I think from a psychological standpoint, that's a tough start.
And losing to Eastern Washington and then against Boise puts you in a bad state of mind. Wicks making the catch. Vallejo, boy, can't say enough about number 20 right there getting off the blue turf. He has been ubiquitous tonight. I mean, everywhere. Tanner Vallejo. And these guys really popped heads.
Friendly fire.
Yeah. 3rd and 1. Jamal Morrow in at tailback. Boise State has never beaten Washington State in 4 tries. And that's going to be a first down on the pass to Johnson Mack.
You talk about an 0-2 start if they lose this game. I think the only thing you can sell your team on is, hey, we haven't lost a conference game. We still have a chance to do something. A lot of people came into this season thinking that Washington State might be the rep out of the North.
Wow.
But they've got Oregon and Stanford back-to-back. Yeah, that's tough sledding.
Falk going up top. A flag thrown. Pass incomplete, intended for Johnson Mack. Well defended by Hartsfield, but there was a little bit of contact down that sideline. Craycraft and Hartsfield were going at it.
Yeah, a little hand holding.
Defense, number 3. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Yeah, Chancellor James.
Yeah,
the culprit.
Chancellor James coming over, but you also had one of, Ford had the hand of the receiver going down the sideline, which is what you were pointing out initially. I think they had the wrong guy. I think it was Ford grabbing on the sideline, as you pointed out. I don't think James had his hand on anybody.
Falk gets it out quick to Martin. And Martin with another first down right around the 19-yard line.
Let's go back to the pass interference. Now you see it up at the top. There's 5 Johnson being held by 4 25. All James is doing is running over and he gets his name called.
Wow. Wrong place at the wrong time. An 11-yard gain and another first down. Falk with all day finds Craycraft. His forward progress is going to be marked right around the 15. It'll be a 4-yard gain. Craycraft coming out.
Get a 4. Second down.
Morrow the tailback. Play clock down to 7. Into the end zone and well defended. That pass wasn't catchable. Raymond Ford back there at corner working against Martin. And this is where, Rod, you pointed out, this type of offense struggles sometimes in the red zone.
Well, you don't have the big tight end. You don't have a fullback or 2-back set where you can run things, draw plays, screen plays. Remember, they scored earlier with a shovel pass. Everything's got to be in the air. So, to me, that's the play to go back to. They haven't run it again since.
3rd and 6. Falk overshoots marks, and I mean really fired high.
There's just not a lot of room when you get inside the 15-yard line. And if you have corners and safeties who are good at change of direction, you can defend the ball pretty decently down there, particularly if you're playing zone coverage.
Right. Well, what do you make of the performance of this Boise State defense?
I think Andy Avalos, the first-year defensive coordinator, ought to be really happy with the way his guys have played. Certainly, Tanner Vallejo has set the tone for that defense.
On 4th down, Falk trying to buy a little more time, finds his man, touchdown Morrow. And Falk had his helmet come off. He might have taken a big lick, and he's disgusted right now.
Yeah, he's grabbed his head. I think he did take a shot. He extended this play. This is all Falk. This is not what he normally does. He is not a guy who throws on the run, who scrambles. But look, he's trying to make a play on 4th down. He does. Not a big shot. He just got fell on by a defensive lineman.
He was on the way down.
Yeah. That's Frazier who jumped on him.
Big time play by Luke Falk. And the Cougars hanging around, down by just 10. Plenty of time to go.
How about cool hand Luke there? 4th and 6, buying some time. Doesn't have to be the quickest guy. Presence. He's giving his team a chance. They are back in this ball game.
Welcome back, everyone. College football finale presented by Geico. And boy, what a great second half for Luke Falk. 20 of 24 passing, couple of touchdowns, almost 200 yards, and keeping his team in the game with that pivotal 4th down conversion.
Well,
and a touchdown.
Q said he had to be more decisive. Mike Leach wanted him more decisive. He got that out of him. He also got him to extend a play to throw that touchdown pass to bring them within 10. You see the numbers Jonesy just mentioned, a couple of TDs, and 20 of 24. Nice.
From the goal line, this is McNichols. And he stopped up shy of the 28, the 17-yard line. Folks, let's take a look at the weekly college football rankings brought to you by Capital One. What kind of changes do you foresee, Rod?
You know, I'm going to have to drop Clemson behind Florida State and maybe some other folks, but they just have not offensively done what we expected them to do.
2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't know that there are many changes up there. Georgia did not look great today. Stanford was off. Washington, big win. Your boys at Houston came through without their quarterback.
And Coach Peterson got the W. Former head coach here at Boise. Pass complete to Chaz Anderson. And Anderson picks up about 6 on the play. Pallure with yet another tackle for Washington State. Picked up 4 on the play. 2nd down and 6. Clock running. 10-point lead for the Broncos.
Huge series right now for Washington State defensively. If you get 3 and out, you're going to get the ball back in good field position, down 10.
Little bubble screen. Spurbeck gets the first down out beyond the 30 to the 31. That's his comfort zone right there. Let's go down to Q.
For whatever reason, guys, it seems like both defenses in this game have become short-circuited. Signs of fatigue, late on the scene, poor pursuit angles, and just overall sloppiness in the last 2 or 3 drives. I don't know if we've hit the magic pitch count or something, but the total plays seem to be adding up for both defenses.
Yeah.
1st and 10. Anderson makes the catch. A good open field stop by Darian Moulton.
Q, I would add this. When you're playing pass defense, that many plays, it tends to wear you out. Your guys up front are rushing the quarterback, and all these throws to the sideline, you're running sideline to sideline. That wears out a defense.
Gain of 14 on that last play. Blakely in motion, now sets. And McNichol is going to be dropped for a loss of 2. So the guys up front, Mataafa leading the way with a first name like Hercules. You know, he's pretty stout up front. Actually got a B+ in my college philosophy, Hercules, Greek philosophy.
Only? I didn't know you got anything less than an A.
Actually went to class, Rob. 2nd and 11. Hercules got a little surge on the side, but not enough. Pass dropped that time by Anderson.
That's on Rippon. He put that ball in the wrong place.
How so?
Anderson's looking outside. It looked like that ball was supposed to go outside. It came to the inside instead. A little bit off the mark.
3rd and long. Spurbeck is his comfort zone. He's got 7 catches already tonight for over 100 yards.
He's on the hash mark in a good spot in that slot.
Rippon looking his way. Now comes over the middle. Incomplete. Anderson was the closest receiver there, and they'll have to punt. So the Cougars get off the field defensively. And Alex Grinch, who came down from the booth where he was last week to be on the field this week, perhaps having the desire to impact here in the 2nd half. Remember, if you're just joining us, this Cougar defense gave up 606 yards last week against Eastern Washington. Fifth punt of the night. The Whale. High spiral, a fair catch at the 22-yard line by Fossum. We do have a flag on the play.
Sense some uneasiness with the crowd.
Yes. Yes. Especially after the last Cougar touchdown.
During the kick, holding number 51 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. First down.
Well, when we come back, he's already slung it 59 times, but might have a few more there. Back after this.
ESPN College Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And in part by Dr. Pepper. It's a college football tradition.
Cougars down 10, looking to rally under the lights here in Boise, Idaho. And it's falling on the shoulders of junior quarterback Luke Falk. He's had a great second half. former walk-on. When he got on campus, went to his first meeting, in the meeting room he saw 6 other quarterbacks. Had a daunting task ahead of him. But he's made himself the starter and hands it off for a nice gain. Williams on the run. Rod, what do you make of Washington State and what they have to do to get some points on the board? How pivotal is this drive?
Well, first, Falk, you know, what he's done in the second half after the first half, not being himself and coming back this second half, getting touchdown passes, 20 of 24, huge difference. They've got to be patient. They're not going to get a whole lot of deep, free balls down the field. He's got to be patient and take what they give him, and then it'll be a one-possession game if he does that.
Got a flag down to the field.
False start. Offense. Number 60. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Cougars implode on that brief sequence. It's 9 penalties now against Washington State.
Pretty noisy down there in that end. Harder to hear.
If there was ever a time for Gabe Marks to come alive, it would be now. Instead, it's Johnson Mack, and there's another flag on the far side of the field. Bronco players signaling hold, a gain of 6 if it stands. That's going to be against the Cougars. Well, that wasn't the look that Mike Leach had on his face when he was telling us about his great trip to Cuba this summer and his chance to do a little fishing. We get the call.
Holding. Offense. Number 21. Half the distance to the goal. Second down.
That's against River Craycraft.
Yeah, you guys were talking about Cuba and
fishing the Keys down in Florida.
Yeah, he didn't start speaking my language until he started talking about Hemingway and how big a fan he is, and he'd like to live life like Hemingway.
Yeah, I'm into catching some big old grouper down there in the Florida Keys. 8:10 to go. Falk out of the end zone. Dangerously delivers it to Morrow. And Morrow out to the 17-yard line. And, you know, Leach has all the nuances of offense, has all the nuances of fishing, too. Taught us how to, you follow behind those shrimp boats, Rod. And when you do that, you have a good chance of catching some mahi-mahi, some blackfin tuna.
Is that fishing or is that cheating?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It worked for Coach.
Big third down here, though. He's not concerned about fishing right now.
No.
He wants a third. He wants to pick this third down up.
Falk over the middle, has a man open. At the 46-yard line, Kyle Sweet out near midfield, and a dart thrown by Falk for 29 yards.
Well, this is a staple of the air raid offense. It's just an all vertical play. Everybody go long. You get the linebacker dropping over the middle. He can't drop deep enough. You widen the safeties with the outside routes, and you find Sweet over the middle.
Wicks in the backfield. Martin split wide to the bottom of your screen, and this is Martin. Cuts back inside and brought down right around midfield at the 49 by Raymond Ford. They have really, Rod, forced Falk to go more to Martin than to Marks tonight, right?
Yeah, they've taken Marks out of the game, and Falk has been willing to look elsewhere. I think he's okay with that. I think Marks is frustrated, clearly. He's a decoy, been a decoy most of the night.
Luke Falk has slung it 63 times. A little pressure off the edge. Oh, and they caught him in the pressure. Morrow still on his feet. And finally tackled right near that first down marker inside the 45 by Van Der Esch.
Keep in mind, Washington State had a field goal blocked. They elected not to attempt the field goal on a 4th down, came away with no points, and had a pick 6. This could easily be a one-possession game, or they could really be tied or ahead.
Still a little bit of time. 3rd and 1. Snap was a little bit off. Boy, Gabe Marks was smothered immediately by Chancellor James. Great tackle there in the open field. No gain on the play. And 4th down coming up.
Great open field tackle. You figure Marks, with his ability to change direction, would slip out of this and make up some yardage, but a good tackle by Chancellor James. Now you've got a big 4th and short, and again, not a real strong running team here.
Cougars 2 of 3 on 4th down. Morrow reverses field, won't make it. And the Broncos take over on downs.
Jonesy, that is the second failure on a 4th and short for Washington State tonight. Again, air raid offense, short yardage, don't have a tight end, don't have a fullback. Hurts you in a situation like this when you need to pick up a 1st down.
Hey folks, tomorrow on ESPN, it's the U.S. Open Men's Singles Championship match between defending champ Novak Djokovic and number 3 seed Stan Wawrinka, playing in his first Open final. Coverage beginning at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Djokovic, the 2-time Open champ, winning in 11 and 2015. 5:11 to go. McNichols brought down for a loss at about the 41 by Dylan Hanser. And is Boise State built to run clock, Rob?
They can, and they probably should, but they're still going with a bit of tempo here, right on the line of scrimmage. You got a 2-possession lead with less than 5 minutes. You can burn clock from the line of scrimmage. It doesn't look like they're doing that, though.
Loss of 5 on that play, 2nd and 15. Rippon taking a shot downfield. Intended for Chaz Anderson, incomplete. He was working against Marcellus Pippins.
Yeah, I think you ought to be a little bit more deliberate starting with that 1st down play. And then 2nd down. You don't have to get right to the line of scrimmage and run that play. You're just leaving clock for Washington State. They need at least 2 possessions. You've got a chance to burn some clock, and you really haven't burned very much here.
Broncos just 2 of 7 on 3rd downs tonight. 3 of 7, pardon me. Passing is Rippon. And picked off for the 2nd time tonight. Luani with the pinch, and the Cougars back in it.
Well, the Cougars' top defensive player baited Rippon into that. He leaned to the left like he was moving that way, knew he had a receiver coming back from the right, and then he just jumped right back in front of it. And he sort of baited him with a very nice move. You'll see him. Watch for 18 in the middle of your screen. There he is, leaning to the left a little bit, plants his foot and comes back to the right. Read his eyes all the way. That's a huge swing.
Wow, they really missed him last week against Eastern Washington. Unable to play because of an unspecified team violation. Falk going to take a shot immediately into the end zone. Marks, touchdown, and here comes Washington State. In 2 plays, this complexion has changed, Rod.
Yeah. Well, I think it started with that series by Boise State.
Out of bounds by the defense.
Really not managing the clock.
Established himself back inbounds and made the catch for a touchdown.
But Marks is one of the best receivers in the country. Can't hold him down the entire game. Now he's out of bounds, comes back in. He can do that.
Yeah, the official just saying moments ago that he established himself back in bounds. Gabe Marks, after being non-impactful in the first 3.5 quarters, with 4:17 to go, his first impactful catch tonight, and that's the guy that set it up.
Wow, how much did they miss Luani? This play, his 2nd pick of the night, setting things up for the Cougs. They're still alive because this man has shown up. For 3 quarters, they couldn't find him. They found Marks. Late in the 4th, he got a 3-point ball game. Pac-12 after.
And welcome back, 4:17 to go. Boise State has led for most of the night, the entire game. But now a perilously close game, leading by just 3. Gabe Marks with that touchdown catch a moment ago. And what seemed to be a rather secure win, just 5 minutes away, leading by 10. Now it's a 3-point game. Look at those numbers put up by Luke Falk. Last week it was 41-51. And another 400-yard game for him.
I'm just more impressed with the way he bounced back from the first half. He's 26 of 30 in the second half.
This will come out to the 25-yard line. And now the question begs, what of the psyche, what is left of the psyche of Brett Rippon? Quint?
Yeah, and Brian Harsin actually told us that yesterday. How will we react? How will he react when we face adversity? They faced none last week. Well, they're staring it down right now with the sophomore quarterback, who many have anointed the best quarterback in the Mountain West. If I'm Boise State, though, I turn to this offensive line. Majority of seniors. I think you got one junior on that group. They're going to win you this game right now, those senior offensive linemen.
Yeah, I would too, Q, but he's still going to need at least a throw or two from Rippon.
He threw a pick the last time he passed. 1st and 10. Hands it off to McNichols. Cougars going after that ball. McNichols hangs onto it, picks up about 4.
You know, Rippon said a few weeks ago that this Washington State game, he had a nightmare over the summer about it. He woke up kind of in a sweat with the notion that he was playing the game and he wasn't prepared. And he says, but he's had dreams like that before, so he didn't think it was all that unusual. But remember, his mom and his uncle went to Washington State. He turned down Washington State and he just threw a pick in this ball game.
Nichols stays on his feet. Great hand walk. Used his hand to stay upright and picks up the first down with 3:32 to go. Gets 10.
Well, Q absolutely on the money, getting behind their left guard Averill, their center Hampton, letting the redshirt seniors and redshirt junior lead the way, trusting them a bit more here than the right arm of the sophomore quarterback.
Clock running, 3:17 to go.
This is a drive that they should have had last drive.
Both teams with a full complement of 3 timeouts remaining. McNichols with a little sidestep. Brought down to the 40, picked up 1. Pallure making the tackle.
Now, if you're a Washington State fan, you have no reason to panic. You've got 3 timeouts. You just need a stop. And you know you've got to play run defense.
What kind of grade would you give the defense tonight? They got gashed for 606 last week.
Yes, after what they did last week, they picked up a couple turnovers. They get a high grade. Maybe not an A, but maybe a B+. Maybe an A for the second half.
Luani has made all the difference. Number 18 in the secondary. This is Madison with a rare carry for him. 3rd down coming up. Timeout called. We're going to stay right here with 2:18 to go.
First charge timeout, Washington State.
There's a look at Luanu, who had the interception to set up the touchdown on the subsequent play the last time they touched the ball.
So, Q, I would imagine that the discussion in the Washington State huddle right now is that if they throw this ball on 3rd down, which I believe they will, 82 Spurbeck is the guy that they trust the most, and that you got to figure out where he will be. You see it any other way down there?
No, absolutely. I think that's your first choice. You got to cover Spurbeck in the slot. You know, Wilson's been the deep threat. That's probably not the type of pattern they're going to throw here. Maybe something out of the backfield to a running back, McNichol in space.
Yeah, I would say that, you know.
An option.
Yep, Spurbeck's 1, McNichol 2nd. I think in these situations you ask yourself, who do you trust with the ball? And I think those are the 2 guys that come to the forefront.
And you want to keep it away from Luani, number 18 for Washington State. 3rd and 6 to keep the drive alive. Big catch by Wilson and a first down. He went to his long, rangy receiver on the sidelines and found his mark to gain 13.
Well, they have a lot more trust in Wilson now. I mean, he's generally regarded as a deep threat, but he became clutch right there with just a first down catch.
Let's look at his numbers tonight. 3 catches for 85 yards. Had a touchdown last week. The clock running with under 2 minutes to go now. McNichols stays on his feet. Thinking about 6 and stays in bounds. And that is a dispiriting, disheartening run for that Cougar defense.
This is the offensive line. Not a fancy play. It's just a power run. Block down, pull the backside guard, kick out. They had an extra tight end. They had an extra tackle that they lined up on the left side as a tight end. They go number 74, Archie Lewis at 6'3", 300. Lined up as a extra tight end over there.
1:22 to go, a 26-yard gain. Washington State with 2 timeouts remaining. Nichols, boy, he got rocked and kept those feet moving, Rod. And a late flag thrown. Boy, how did McNichols stay on his feet?
Who do you trust with the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a solid ball carrier.
1,797 yards from scrimmage last year.
After the play was over, dead ball, personal foul, offense, number 86. 15-yard penalty, down 2.
Right there, Chase Blakely.
Yeah, that's one of those extra tight ends. Blakely, unnecessary roughness call.
1:08 to go.
Sitting on 2 timeouts, Washington State. They're going to have to think about starting to use those and to try to get the ball back without any timeouts. They just can't let Boise State burn off precious seconds.
Can't say enough about the clutch play of McNichols.
Clock is running right now. I don't think Mike Leach realized that clock was going to run after the penalty was enforced. He was thinking that personal foul was going to stop the clock, but the clock was running, and he's complaining about that now. It was a dead ball foul,
which means
that clock was stopped. Now they're discussing that right now.
This is the closest the Cougars have been tonight, within 3.
Clock operator, please reset the game clock to 1:08. This foul qualifies for the 3-4-3 rule. Since Washington State is behind in the game clock will start on the snap.
Back to 1:08 we go then.
Former
Second and
lawyer
21.
wins an argument there, Leach does.
The old 3-2-3 gets him every time. 1:07 to go. McNichols hanging on to that ball. And brought down after the gain of 4. Washington State still with a couple of timeouts remaining, and take one here.
Second charge timeout, Washington State.
Now down to 1.
30-second timeout.
1:02 to go. 3rd down coming up.
So they're going to have an issue since they only have the 1 timeout left. Washington State will have a chance to burn some more clock.
Now what do you do if you're Boise State here? 3rd down coming up. 1:02. You've got 3 timeouts. Interesting to see what happens if you don't get the 1st down here. On this drive, they've run it 7 times.
I'm not sure.
Just 1 pass.
You know, Jonesy, I'm not sure I would try a field goal.
If you don't get the first here?
Yeah, I'd be worried about that ball not getting up and having a block. I mean, that'd be about from here. You're talking about a 50-yarder, close to it.
They went to Wilson last time on a critical third down. 3rd and 17. Spurbeck in the slot to the top of your screen. They take a shot into the end zone and picked off by Charleston White.
Wow.
An egregious turnover by Ripon with just under a minute to go. It'll come back out and be 1st and 10 Cougars.
That's a mistake by Ripon because that ball has to be in one spot and one spot only. Your guy catches it or it goes out of bounds. You have an opportunity to burn more clock. You cannot leave this ball in play. And a tremendous effort for White to come over and make this play and take the ball away. But that ball has to be thrown where only one guy can get it. It's got to be away from the safety, has to be more towards the corner. It's a heck of a catch.
Yeah, great play there by number 4, Charleston White.
And Washington State didn't even have to burn a timeout.
Yeah, they still got one left.
Worst possible scenario for the Broncos. Best scenario for the Cougars.
Broncos' last 2 possessions have been poor. Underneath, Morrow steps out of bounds after gaining 8. 2nd and 2, 46 seconds to go. Eric Powell, remember, is 0 of 1 on the year on his field goal attempts. You got to get in field goal range at least to get a tie. Falk completes it to Marks. Got a touchdown the last time he got a touch. And picks up the 1st down. One
Jonesy,
more look.
Yeah, let's go back to this. Now, White wasn't on the field. Look at him running on. They were short of safety. He doesn't even know the coverage. He just runs out there and makes a play.
Could that have worked in his benefit? I think maybe Ripon didn't see him.
Possibly, yes.
Morrow with the catch. Vallejo with another tackle. No gain on the play.
And they may have to burn a timeout here. I don't know if they want to clock this, but they're losing precious time.
Yeah, they sure are. They're going to try and run a play here instead of just spike it. And Falk throws it out of bounds in the direction of Marks.
That was a waste of 10 to 11 seconds. You know, you have to extend the game. You have a timeout. I know you want to save it, but you can't afford to let the time run out and not use your timeouts. You've burned 11 seconds there and got no yardage out of it.
Trying to get in field goal range for Eric Powell.
You need a play down the field. You got to get about 15 or so yards here.
His career long is only 47. Falk completed the 49 to Marks. Look at the 45. And they're going to have to burn one here with 8:7:6 to go. Clock still running.
I am stunned by the clock management here. Are you kidding me?
How do you not stop it?
Well, the last 30 seconds of clock management has just been miserable.
Washington State.
Now you have to take a shot.
Please reset the game clock to 5
Well,
seconds.
the official...
Oh, they're putting one more second back on, which is not a major difference.
But the official signaled right away that they were short. He put his fist up for the 4th down sign, which is when they should have called the timeout, which would at least have given them 9 or 10 seconds. And with that timeout, you have a shot at 2 plays. But instead, they've got 1 play. They've got only the option of throwing the Hail Mary.
Boy, that was a poor case of not calling a timeout quickly enough. Marks stopped up. Now it's close.
Yeah, well, when he initially caught it, he had the opportunity to get across the marker, but he was thinking of getting more yardage or getting to the sideline. Right there, just get the 1st down.
Yeah. The Cougars probably thought they had enough for it.
Yeah, he's short there. You see the ball short.
So now they're going to take a shot deep.
You got a single receiver on the other side. You got to throw this up and pray if you're a Coug fan.
Boise State calls timeout. We got 2 left. Let's go downstairs to Quinn.
Yeah, Mark and Rod, it looked like Boise was content to only rush 3. If you remember from a couple instances last year, that's usually not the best case scenario. The other thing is they put, 2 corners and a safety on the goal line. Guys who are in the 5'10", 5'9" range. Why not put Cedric Wilson back there? He's your best jumper. He's your best ball skill guy. Does it have to be a corner or a safety? Sometimes, isn't it better that maybe a wide receiver be back there?
Yeah, although, Q, I'll tell you this. I think the best way of defending that Hail Mary, I think you have to rush 4, and you have to have a trail guy or 2. You know that the offense has a trail guy or 2 receiver. You need to have a defensive back or 2 who are trailing, looking for that to knock down the rebound or the lateral. You can't have everyone going to the end zone and do the jump ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure Falk can reach the end zone from here.
No,
you're
right.
He may have to throw it underneath for some razzle-dazzle.
We saw what happened to Oklahoma State earlier today. They lost on a Hail Mary, although it shouldn't have counted. 4th and 1. Falk throws it up. Lots of traffic and batted down. It's over. The Broncos win and defend the blue. Ford broke it up. And it's a 31-28 final for the Broncos. They earned their first win in 5 tries against Washington State. And the respective brain trust at midfield. Broncos now 2-0, one last look.
And not enough arm strength to get this way down the field. Played perfectly by Boise State. Knock it down. That's the idea. Don't catch it, knock it down.
Raymond Ford taking no chances. A senior out of Los Angeles, putting an exclamation point on the night. So the Mountain West knocks out the Pac-12 here in Boise, Idaho by a verdict of 31-28. Coming up next, it's college football final for Rod Gilmore and Quint Kesnick and our entire talented gang behind the camera you never get a chance to see. I'm Mark Jones. Right now, we're going to send it to college football final. See ya.